Okay, let's dive into the high-stakes world of IT projects. It's a space where fortunes are made, but sometimes whole companies get broken, and it often comes down to one single step at the very beginning that way too often gets skipped. So, let's start with a number that should honestly make anyone a little nervous. A huge study by McKinsey found that 45% of all major IT projects go over budget. Just think about that for a second. That's basically a coin flip on whether your project is going to cost way more than you planned.
But it actually gets worse. A staggering 17% of those projects go so far off the rails they can literally threaten the company's entire existence. We're not talking about just missing a deadline here. We're talking about a full-blown existential crisis. The odds? Not great.
So what's really going on here? Well, it's often this very human urge to just rush. There's all this pressure to show progress, to just start coding. But that feeling of moving fast, it's not really progress. It's a massive gamble against some seriously tough odds.
Think about it this way. You would never, ever build a skyscraper on a piece of land you haven't even surveyed, right? Especially not with a plan you sketched on the back of a napkin. And yet, companies do the digital version of this all the time, pouring millions into projects that are based on little more than a vague idea.
So what's the alternative to this crazy gamble? Well, it's a formal, structured process called the discovery phase. And let me be clear, this isn't about slowing things down. It's a strategic move that completely flips the odds in your favor.
At its core, the discovery phase is all about de-risking your investment. It's a structured investigation to answer the most important questions before you commit the big bucks. Questions like, are we solving a problem people actually have? Who are we solving it for? And maybe most importantly, is our grand plan even technically possible?
So how does this blueprint actually get made? Look, this isn't just a couple of brainstorming meetings. It's an intense mission, and it's carried out by a specialized cross-functional team.
And this team has some key players. You've got the business analyst, who's like the translator defining the what and the why. Then there's the solution architect, the master strategist figuring out the how. The UX/UI designer is the champion for the user, making sure people will actually want to use the thing. And of course, the project manager, who conducts this whole orchestra. Every single role is critical.
And their process? It's methodical. They run workshops to get everyone on the same page, from the CEO down to the people who will use the product every day. They dig deep into market analysis to find that unique edge. They actually talk to real users, so every decision is based on reality, not just assumptions. And this part is pure magic. They build interactive prototypes, letting you click around and feel the product before a single line of code gets written.
Now, all of this hard work has one main goal: to systematically hunt down and neutralize the biggest threats that could kill your project. This is really where discovery proves its worth.
First up, it tackles market risk. This is the #1 project killer, folks. Building a perfect, beautiful solution to a problem that nobody actually has. Discovery makes sure there's real demand out there, so you're not just building something for an audience of, well, you.
Next, it takes care of technical risk. It's the solution architect's job to confirm that the amazing idea on the whiteboard is actually possible to build, that it can grow with your business, and that it won't completely break all your existing systems when you plug it in.
And this is the one that really gets the CFO's attention. It eliminates financial risk. Vague ideas lead to vague estimates, which is how you end up with a money pit. Discovery turns all that ambiguity into a super detailed scope. And what does that give you? A budget and a timeline you can actually trust.
Basically, this whole process is the ultimate cure for scope creep, that silent killer of projects. Without it, you're stuck with vague requirements and that endless waterfall of "can we just add one more thing" requests. With Discovery, the scope is locked down. Your budget and your timeline are protected. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so at this point, some people might be thinking, why should I pay for all this planning when I could just pay people to code? Well, let's talk about the money, because the return on investment here is, and I'm not exaggerating, absolutely exponential.
This is often called the rule of 10, and the numbers here really do speak for themselves. A problem that costs, let's say, $1 to fix during discovery, like catching a mistake in a document, costs about 6 times more to fix during development, 15 times more during testing, and once it's live, it can cost 100 times more, or even worse.
The choice couldn't be clearer, right? Pay a tiny amount to fix a mistake on paper now, or pay a massive, painful amount to fix it later in front of all your customers. That small investment up front saves you from an exponentially bigger cost down the line. It's just smart business.
And hey, it's not just about avoiding costs. It's about creating value. Research from Forrester found that for every single dollar you invest in user experience, which is a huge part of discovery, the return is $100. That is an ROI of 9,900%. That's just insane, and it comes from happier customers who stick around and buy more.
But here's what might be the most powerful point of all. The things you get from a discovery phase aren't just meeting notes. They are real, tangible, strategic assets that you own. You walk away with the complete blueprint, a clickable prototype, the architecture diagrams, and a solid budget. Even if you decide not to build the project right away, you now hold a professional-grade plan you can use anytime with anyone.
So, this all brings us to the one question you have to ask before you kick off any new project. When you look at the staggering cost of failure on one side and the proven exponential return of getting it right from the start on the other, is your next project going to be a high-stakes gamble, or is it going to be a calculated investment? The choice is yours.